Hello everyone, great to have you on the channel with MeteoMark Weather. Welcome. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, we got our big southern storm here stretching across the southeast. That could bring some snowfall, especially continuing from southeast Louisiana all the way up the southeast coast here, even into the panhandle of Florida. We'll get into all the details, and we'll be looking at your entire winter storm outlook over the next couple weeks to see if we have any chances once again across the south and the east and up through the Great Lakes as well. And we'll look at the tropics here, see if anything's brewing as far as tropical moisture, see if that'll affect our weather up here in the Gulf and the East Coast as well. And the big story is going to be our temperatures with that polar vortex, that Arctic blast continuing across eastern North America. We'll see just how long this is going to last. Let's get into it. All right, so let's take a look at your future radar here. Yeah, the snow is going to be gradually coming to an end here if it hasn't already in New Orleans, and eventually the western panhandle of Florida here through 11 p.m. Now look at through Tallahassee, Brunswick here, just Jacksonville, you're teetering right on the edge during this time. Look at the heavy snow pushing up through parts of southern Georgia, South Carolina, all the way up to Raleigh, and just streaming north here towards Virginia Beach. We're going to get into those snowfall amounts momentarily. Parts of this area of southern Louisiana, you saw blizzard conditions earlier today, and it was crazy. And some areas approached 10 inches to a foot. So this is the same storm system that's out over the Gulf of Mexico. You're going to see some showers and thunderstorms across the peninsula here, but that snow is going to continue through midnight through Panama City, Tallahassee, parts of Savannah, Georgia, even up to Macon here. You can see, let me just back that up. You even saw snow in Atlanta. That is pushing on to the northeast as we head into the overnight hours here, and it's just like a streaming conveyor belt here to the north as that cold air presses in from the northwest. So this has been a crazy storm, a historic storm to say the least here across parts of the Gulf Coast through parts of the southeast. And there it is. This is 7 a.m. We're still getting snowfall through Jacksonville, Gainesville. You're teetering right on ice there. It's going to stop just north of Ocala here. Cedar Key, you're getting in on it as well, as that cold air bleeds down the peninsula here. Charleston, Savannah, Wilmington, you do start to shut it off around Virginia Beach just before sunrise. And look at that. We're still dealing with some snow showers through noon on the extreme eastern edge of this system. So let's pick up where our future radar left off as we continue through the week here. So let's just back it up here to the 23rd and to the 24th. You can see high pressure really building in. These coastal lows are going to stay pretty far out to sea here. And I'll show you the European model momentarily here because things really don't get cranking. We do start to see, come the latter part of this week, high pressure is going to start a warming trend here. So we'll take a look at the upper air pattern, see if we have any ridging developing. But, you know, on the northern edge of this, we could see one of these clippers moving through. This is the 27th, by the way, dragging a cold front through. And we might see on the northern edge of this weak system across the southeast and the Gulf Coast some snow into the central Appalachians. And here's another short wave moving through parts of the eastern Great Lakes in the northeast as we head on into the 28th. So next Tuesday, heading on into the 29th, you see the two branches of the jet stream not really coming together here. We have the southern branch. Another storm's potentially likely across the Gulf Coast, but so far it looks like rain. And then we got this big Alberta clipper diving from Canada. It looks pretty potent, 986 millibars. So our next best chance of snow outside of lake effect snow will likely be dropping south with this. And this could be quite a big Alberta clipper. If this verifies, we could be talking about like 3 to 6 inches locally higher amounts quickly coming down here right around the 29th. Into, you can see the southern edge of it, some rainfall. So that goes to show you how things moderate through the end of the month around that area of high pressure. But there it is moving off the coast, trying to go coastal on New Brunswick and Nova Scotia there. But there it is. Look at our next storm trying to organize across the Gulf of Mexico here. You can see towards February 1st. High pressure spinning off the Gulf here. You can see lots of shower and thunderstorm activity moving to the northeast here and sliding off the southeast coast towards February 2nd and February 3rd. So the potential for coastal lows is definitely there. Our next system is another Alberta clipper. The theme going into February, though, you can see here as we just head through the 5th, our last frame here, is a lot of separation between the northern branch and the southern branch, and there really doesn't seem to be too many chances for phasing, although that could change. All right, so let's take a look at the European run here. There it is across the southeast with our tremendous snow and ice just continuing here. So as we go out here in time, you see high pressure building in. There's that Alberta Clipper, a very weak one heading across the northern Great Lakes. Might kick off a few snow showers here across the eastern lakes. But for the most part, we're looking pretty quiet. A weak coastal heading out to sea as we head on into Saturday and Sunday. This high pressure's in control. You see this area across eastern Canada. Eastern Canada is going to remain snow latent with these little Alberta Clippers. Some thunderstorms across eastern Texas and Louisiana, areas that just got all that heavy snow, so it's kind of strange, but you will be on a warming trend. And then as we continue through time, there is a low pressure come around the 29th into the 30th. That's going to bring up some tropical moisture and tropical air across parts of the southeast, and that could rage a thunderstorm line here across much of the southeast with a very light area of snow on the northern side. Now look at this as we head towards the 31st. Both models have been indicating something interesting trying to take shape here along the East Coast. This run doesn't look exciting with the exception for a tremendous amount of wind here you can see with the isobars. But as we continue out here in time, pattern remains very progressive. High pressure building in once again, very fast moving. The theme here is on the European run too. You have this fast moving northern and southern branch and not much phasing. Look at this though as we head towards the 5th. This could be the start of some Colorado lows, and I know many of you snow lovers across the east want to just roll your eyes when you see this because you know that's eventually going to mean rain for the East Coast. So if we take a look at our total snowfall accumulation, yeah, this includes a lot of the snow that's already fallen here, additional snow as well. Yeah, this is crazy. You know, some parts of New Orleans, in and around the area of southern Louisiana, upwards of 7 inches, 10 inches, even approaching a foot in some areas. That's crazy. So you can see off the east end of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, that's where we're going to see those snow belts as well. And then as we continue through time here, you can see as we head through the first part of February, there's some close calls along the East Coast here, especially right around the end of the month here, 31st and the 1st. But you see the overall pattern here is very supportive of a northern stream branch and a southern stream branch not really phasing together here for any major storms. So if we take a look at our total snowfall accumulation, yeah, this includes a lot of the snow that's already fallen here, additional snow as well. Yeah, this is crazy. You know, some parts of New Orleans, in and around the area of southern Louisiana, upwards of 7 inches, 10 inches, even approaching a foot in some areas. That's crazy. So you can see off the east end of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, that's where we're going to see those snow belts as well. And then as we continue through time here, you can see as we head through the first part of February, there's some close calls along the East Coast here, especially right around the end of the month here, 31st and the 1st. But you see the overall pattern here is very supportive of a northern stream branch and a southern stream branch not really phasing together here for any major storms. So looking at the GFS here for the southeast, these are crazy snowfall amounts here. We've seen what happened here in New Orleans. Look at this up here through the southeast, Panhandle, Florida. These are areas you're not used to seeing this type of snow accumulation. Widespread 3 to 6 inches with locally higher amounts to 6 to 10 inch plus, especially in some of these purple zones, even up to Atlanta here, about 1 inch. And then as we continue in time, yeah, look at nothing there. If we switch over to the European run here, you can get a sense. European is a little bit more realistic. However, European's been a little bit low here in southern Louisiana where the GFS was closer. So some of these areas I would not be surprised get 5, 6 inches. And look at this. Sharp cutoff to the north, but you still get, right around an inch or so in Atlanta, Georgia. So that can be kind of exciting for people who want to see some snow. And we'll get up here in the Outer Banks as well momentarily. But look at this on the HRRR. I just wanted to show you, look at this. This is crazy. Yeah, our latest HRRR has just increased totals here from the Panhandle of Florida all the way over to Jacksonville, right around 3 or 4 inches, and then up through parts of Columbia, South Carolina, the Outer Banks up here 6 to 8 inches. And if we take a look at the NEM 3 kilometer, it's been kind of on the low side. You can see, yeah, it doesn't really include much here on the southern end. It's a little bit further to the north into a band across southeastern part of Alabama, southeastern Georgia, up through the Carolinas here, where it really goes crazy up towards North Carolina here, 9 to 10 inches. And if we get up through the mid-Atlantic here, let's see what's going on. Yeah, even up to Virginia Beach, this NEM 3 kilometer showing about 5 or 6 inches. Outer Banks here, 6 to 9, close to 10 inches. Nothing up here in the Northeast. If we flip over to the HRRR, here we go with that. Yeah, very similar scenario. Lower here in Virginia Beach, right around 3-4 inches. But here's the Outer Banks southward towards Columbia, South Carolina, and Charleston here. So yeah, we're getting quite some interesting snowfall totals here. Areas that are not used to this, even further inland here towards central South Carolina. And getting up here into the Northeast for your lake effect totals, especially north of Syracuse here towards Watertown. Yeah, it's going to be crazy over the next 48 hours. Upwards of a foot, maybe more to 2 feet. But yeah, cutting off here off Lake Erie. And looking at our lake effect snows here over the next 24 to 60 hours here. Maybe a little bit towards Erie and Buffalo, towards the, this part of it. So it's interesting. The NEM 3 kilometers actually going with something here off Lake Erie. So we'll continue to watch it here north of Syracuse. That's where the real big action is going to be, 1 to 2 feet at least. And if we flip over to our European run here, yeah, there's those lake effect bands. Let's switch back to our, there we go. We can go a little bit further out here. So as we get into next week, the Alberta Clipper is stacked a little bit further to the north here. Missing much of southern Pennsylvania and southern New England, but a few inches at least in the far north country here. Now looking at it here on the GFS model, yeah, there's our lake effect bands. As we get into next week, there's that Alberta Clipper that drops down. So it's a little bit further to the south. It does include places like Cleveland, over to Toledo with a couple inches down and through parts of West Virginia, where we'll get in southwestern Pennsylvania, where you usually get a lot of snow with these. And then over towards parts of interior Northeast to New England, you could see at least a couple inches, maybe several inches out of this, because this looks like a pretty potent Alberta Clipper. As we go through the longer term, we can go all the way through February 6th. You can see mainly across the North Country here is where we'll be racking up these snowfall totals. And here's what's our winter storm warnings continuing across parts of the Gulf Coast, up the southeast coast here, much of Georgia, the Carolinas, southern Alabama, and the Panhandle of Florida. So if we take a look at liquid equivalent precipitation totals here, this is mostly frozen in much of the southeast, especially the Panhandle of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas here during the next 24 hours or so. The next system behind that's going to be all liquid. You can see here into the Northeast, this is going to be all frozen precipitation with our lake effect snow continuing. And then our next Alberta Clipper diving southward come the early to middle part of next week. So the two branches of the jet stream, you can see the northern branch and the southern branch very, very active. However, the two not meeting to phase with energy or any major storms. All right, so if we take a look at liquid equivalent here on our European run, yeah, from the Gulf coast here to the southeast coast, that's where we'll see the 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch with up to an inch or two across the peninsula of Florida. And then our next system behind it promises to be even more tropical moisture. This one looks like mostly rain though, 2 to 4 inches locally higher. And there's those Alberta Clippers here through the Great Lakes and the Northeast. These will be dropping, some snowfall amounts, a couple inches each one of them. All right, so the snowfall totals haven't come in fully from the deep south here, especially Louisiana, but look at Texas. This is where you saw 1 to as much as 4 inches of snow all the way from San Antonio, saw a couple inches all the way through Houston as well. We'll get this filled in as this storm system moves to the east here, because we're going to see some big totals coming in all the way up through the Carolinas as well in Louisiana. But look at that storm system that we saw back on Sunday into Sunday night, yeah, there was some big-time snow totals up here into the Northeast. And here's some exciting photos sent in by Derek Rentschler from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. He received 10 inches of snow, his biggest snow in quite some time. This is actually pretty exciting because this is an area that's been in a snow drought from bigger storms, moderate to bigger storms. Look at that. That is some nice snow there. That is what you want to see. That's a proper winter into this area. And look at this, just blanketing everything. It's just beautiful. And it's a sight to behold. There's nothing like a fresh snow. And look at it, it was coming down pretty fast and furious there as well. So very nice captures here, Derek. Look at that. The roads are completely covered. This is what you call a proper snowstorm across the area. Nice captures there, Derek. Look at that. Even into the yards here, just piling up. Really nice. And as you know, this was associated with that storm system that moved up through the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast back a couple days ago that produced a lot of interior snowfall accumulations. And here we go, Jim from Central Connecticut. He said there's roughly around 3 inches of snow this past snowstorm right around the 19th here. So yeah, that same snowstorm that got Derek from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, it also on the northern edge of this system, Jim in Central Connecticut. So yeah, this was quite a big interior snowstorm. It wasn't the mega snowstorm that we were hoping for in parts of New England, but at least you got some snow to help chip away at this snow drought. Nice captures there, Jim. It's looking very beautiful there. So looking at our upper air pattern here, starting out with our European run. So we got a few troughs later this week. The pattern gets very fast moving. You can see that ridge building across the southeast as we head into next week, and that continues to try to build in across the east. We will have these Alberta clippers dropping down from eastern Canada, so we could get clipped across parts of the northeast, and sometimes these might try to spin up into a coastal low. But look what's behind it. That raging inferno firecracker ridge really starts to blossom across eastern North America. And this is where we get the big trough out west, the massive ridge across the east. If we take a look at our GFS, a very similar situation is developing next week. You can see some of these Alberta clippers. They will be potent through the end of the month into the first part of February. But look how quickly it's replaced. Actually, this is kind of interesting because this run of the GFS, our latest run, is now actually showing kind of a flip. It's not entirely a ridge across, the east, but it's not like a trough either. So it doesn't start to build in this massive ridge, which pretty much encompasses much of the lower 48 through the first full week of February here. This is kind of interesting. So for the NAO index, yeah, that we are going to be going from negative to positive as we head into the first part of February. And ultimately what that means is less blocking over northeastern North America, which will allow the pattern to become more progressive and less phasing with the northern and southern jet stream. That leads to less big coastal storms. And our MJO index, yep, that's not favorable for storminess, cold, and snow along the east of North America as well. Look at, we're rapidly zooming into phase 3 here, and into February we go into phase 4 and eventually phase 5 here. So ultimately, this is not looking like a pattern for snow lovers as we head into February. So taking a look at the tropics here, yeah, that big storm across the Gulf, that'll spin some moisture towards the Yucatan and Honduras as we head on into the day on Wednesday and into Thursday. You can see that showers just hanging out here. You're mostly dry from Cayman Islands, Jamaica. A few showers over here towards the Lesser Antilles, Trinidad, Tobago, maybe a shower or two up towards Grenada and these areas. But for the most part, it's looking quieter as we head through the 25th and the 26th. However, we have an area of low pressure here over Colombia, South America here. That's going to be spinning that moisture towards Costa Rica here, Nicaragua, Honduras, and eventually Belize. As we head through the 26th into the 27th, you could see some scattered showers developing here. But you notice a lack of activity up here into the Northwest Caribbean. Things will be drier as we continue through the end of the month here, and things start to dry out across the North Central Caribbean as well. Lesser Antilles, you're still going to see those daily showers kicking in Look at, though, across Central America come February 1st, we're looking at a tremendous amount of moisture. Also across the northern Gulf, we could be looking at another area of low pressure pinwheeling along the Gulf Coast. We'll see if that is another winter storm developing. But here we go as we continue through the 5th. There it is. Last frame here, you can see a front making it into the Northwest Caribbean here with another area of low pressure kind of hanging out. Some scattered showers over here. Jamaica over through Haiti looks like the driest. Even the Turks and Caicos here in the southeastern Bahamas. Local equivalent precipitation amounts here across the tropics. Yeah, as we go through this week into next week, you can see where all the rain's going to be. It's going to Central America. Maybe a few showers, especially late week towards the weekend and early next week from Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, where you could see upwards of 13 to 25 millimeters, especially on the northeast side of Jamaica here towards right around Portland Parish. But for the most part, it's going to remain dry. Look at, though, as we head right through Central America. Yeah, eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, the north coast of Honduras. These areas you could see 150, close to 300 millimeters of rainfall, even the east coast of Belize here. And then let's look at the European run here. Very similar scenario as we head through. This takes us all the way through February 5th, too. It's pretty much a carbon copy, although it does put more rainfall here across Jamaica, especially as we head towards the end of the month. Upwards of 128 millimeters in northeastern Jamaica there. The rest of Jamaica looks anywhere from 15 to 25 millimeters. But look at the northern coastline of Honduras here. Some of these areas could approach 400 millimeters of rainfall. And looking across the eastern Caribbean here, yeah, unusual moisture for this time of year. It's going to be prevalent, especially Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico here. This is where some areas could approach 80 to 125 millimeters of rainfall. It's going to get you up on the order of 3 to 5 inches. And even the east-facing coastlines here of the Lesser Antilles could get upwards of 70 to 120 millimeters of rainfall, so watch out. All right, so your Canadian weather outlook here. Let's see what's going on for Canada. There's not a whole lot other than the west coast here. You get mountain snow, valley rain as we head through the next couple days, Wednesday into Thursday. Look at this. Yeah, we have a few precipitation areas around the edges here towards Newfoundland, the west coast. But for the most part, maybe a few flurries with this moisture-starved Alberta clipper by the weekend into early next week. We do get a stronger clipper dropping down across Manitoba and Saskatchewan as we head towards the 28th to the 29th. That'll spin heavy snow from Manitoba southward to southern Ontario and eventually towards southern Quebec as we head towards the 29th. And this could spin up into a coastal Nova Scotia if this verifies 976 millibar low, blasting some snow as far north of southern New Brunswick there. Let's just back that up. There we go. And then towards Newfoundland. But as we spin towards February, we're going to start to get more active here on the west coast. You can see a big plume of moisture moving in and another Alberta clipper. So these clippers are going to get stronger as we go through February here. And you can see that is the only show in town east of the Rocky Mountains is a lot of these Alberta clippers and maybe a few coastals trying to spin up. So let's look at your snowfall totals here. We're actually going to take a look at your forecast snow. Yeah, look at this. So as we go through this week into the following week, you can see where the storm pattern's going to be. Yes, we do have that west coast component here, but look at these Alberta clip. We're going to open up the Alberta Clipper Highway here. This could actually open up the coastal highway for coastal storms in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland over to Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick here. So watch out. You could be exceeding 30 centimeters in some areas of snowfall here. These Alberta clippers will drop anywhere from about 10 to 25 centimeters here through Manitoba, southern Ontario, and Quebec. So watch out. And there's the big blockbuster snow totals here on the west coast of Canada, over 70 centimeters. And what's going over here into the western Pacific? The good news is there's not a whole lot to talk about. If you look at Vietnam, it's clear. Yeah, it's clear all the way up through Southeast Asia, Seoul, South Korea. Japan, you're getting some of that snow and rain. It's been very active weather pattern for Japan, but you will clear things out here. Southern Philippines, as we head through the 26th, 27th, a few scattered showers, but you see the intertropical convergence zone really targeting much further to the south here towards Indonesia. So, for the most part, we really don't have a whole lot to talk about. Maybe some scattered showers affecting the Philippines through the end of the month here. We got a bigger area of low pressure that might be moving in the vicinity of the southern Philippines towards February 5th. And looking to the Western Pacific here, what is going on? There's not a whole lot going on with the exception of the northern stream here. Parts of Japan for the most part, and Central Southeast Asia here. But look at towards the end of the month and the beginning of February, we do start to moisten it up around the Philippines where we'll get upwards of 100 to 150 millimeters of rainfall. So we'll take a look at our temperature wise here. Wednesday is going to be one of our colder days here across the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. Most areas will try to struggle to reach 10 to 15 degrees. We're going to start a slow warming trend across the south as well. Look at across Texas there, getting back into the 50s. Now, as we continue through Thursday, look at this. We do have another reinforcing shot of cold air, single digits up here into parts of Minnesota, warming to the 40s and 50s here into the southeast. Here's Friday. We're starting to erode that colder air. We're actually making it into the 20s into the northeast, 50s along the Gulf Coast states. But watch out here from the Rocky Mountains, the northern plains. We've got another cold spell heading east here, making it to the 30s above freezing in the parts of the interior northeast into Sunday as well. So we do start to see a warming trend. Look at this, 50s through parts of Virginia and North Carolina. But look at the big cold pool of air up here across the northern plains, and that slides into the Great Lakes as we head towards Monday, January 27th. And as we take a look at our extended outlook for hometown viewers, Bangor to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania, watch this. Thankfully, we're going to start to see a warming trend, but Wednesday is going to be one of your colder days. Wednesday night, it doesn't get as low. Most areas will remain in the positive single digits instead of the negative single digits. However, I do caution you because Wednesday morning is the one that's really bad. In fact, we could see negative 10s below zero in some of the normally colder valleys. Thursday, look at, we warm it up to 25 degrees, partly sunny into Friday as well. Warming trend for the weekend, we may get it above freezing by Sunday. And before we continue with more weather coverage, check out these amazing, awesome maps from my affiliate here.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone. Share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.